On the cross, send it on. Tomas get pulled! Why has Rian retired? Abre's up to 7! Oh Jesus Christ! The world champion.
And we are live. Welcome along. This is round 8 now of the URC season. I'm Leopold, alone tonight on commentary. As you can see, Shamrock over here will be joining the field for tonight's race around Qatar. And what a race it poses to be. As it stands right in the drivers, Fran Bernoulli not racing tonight or next week as far as we're aware. Tonight he's got an injury. Next week he will be busy, so Hyper with a great chance tonight to take the lead in the Drivers' Championship. Gaffo makes a return as well to maybe be able to stop that. And obviously, with a few people missing tonight, the championship could shake up a little bit. In the Constructors, Alpine still lead Alpine's lineup tonight. Actually, only Billy Wiz on the grid for them. So it could be interesting to see if they can keep that. But with the return of Gaffo and Metal Medal as that supreme partnership at Williams, anything can happen tonight. And can Aston Martin with Shamrock and Blue at the helm do anything to stop them? But we are live and we've got drivers already thinking of leaving the pit lane. And the first one out on track, driving for his own team, pulling a Bruce McLaren in the McLaren, is Jack Newcastle FC 2012. Out here for the first lap in qualifying. And he's making his first ever effort in the URC and immediately out of the pit lane, invalidating his own lap. So 10 out of 10 performance from the McLaren driver. But a good grid tonight. Obviously we've got Jojo Lancer coming in to substitute for Kick Sauber, being the only Kick Sauber driver on the grid. But some good lineups all around. Blakey Dude making his debut tonight as well in the URC, at least as far as I'm aware. And Solar coming back after leaving Mercedes mid-season, being replaced by Hyper, to reserve for Red Bull, my team, alongside Yari Spams L2, a driver who's looked good, but the times look even better this week from all of the pre-race that we have seen. Everyone kind of just doing a very good job to set decent lap times all around for us, so it could be a very interesting qualifying session. And I have already not set up the stream right because we are meant to be cranking these graphic settings apart from this ray tracing, because you might just die if we have ray tracing on. But Jack Newcastle will be the first driver out on track, and he will be taking us through a lap of the Lusail circuit down the main straight, DRS open, burning the battery. And how much is he going to burn? He turns down to 65%, and then hard on the brakes just after the 50-meter board. Fling the car in to the first apex, get it rotated around. That was a beautiful rotation of the car. And turn 2. Keep the car stiff because you can't afford a slide on this exit. As you transition through turn 3, don't want to be that aggressive to the inside. You want to be running out all the way to the curb. Windows Defender, you are an arsehole. Turns 4 and 5, a struggle here. You've got to really flow through them to get it hooked up correctly. But a 31-1, the first sector time that we are seeing go down. Through the hairpin he goes, and now foot flat to the floor as you go down towards turn 7. Just fling the car through, keep it nice and tight, and then just let it open up out onto the curb. You're deciding against using that. Try and keep it as tight as possible through there and through turn 10. That is an awkward corner, and Jack Newcastle making it look even more awkward than anyone has in the past. He's got a Red Bull just behind him to settle out. Middle sector looking like my race pace at this point, but it's now flat through all 3 of these corners. He's up in 8th gear and he is very wide. And this might actually hold up the Red Bull behind him if he can't get his act together. The Red Bull behind him goes off track. I think that might be Yari in the background, considering how much he's closed on this lap. But already over the time we expect to see as the win in this qualifying session, he crossed the line for a 24.9, Yari a 24.3, so the times already looking pretty good. Phase Monkey 22.7, Quiet Boy has to pit at the end of his lap. What can Kloppo do as he crosses the line? It's a 23.2, good lap from him, but Richie jumping immediately to the top of the field with a 22.1. out of the way, he pulls in his Haas. The Aston Martins of Shamrock not able to settle a lap that's valid. Bluefoot not able to do the same either. But he is going to continue on. He's pushing for his second effort. But next across the line is Billy Wiz. Decent enough looking middle sector. He crosses the line. It's a 22.7 from him. And one of the drivers we expect to do very well tonight. He's out on the mediums early in this session with a good few laps of fuel in. So expect some magic from him. Gaffo starting a lap in the background. But let's follow along with Bluefoot, a driver that we expect to do quite well. Was challenging Gaffo at points throughout various leagues, but Bluefoot has invalidated his lap once again. As we see Blakey Dude set his lap to 23.2 from him. Metal can't set a valid lap, but he's going to be going again on that same set of tyres. But Gaffo making his return to the URC after having to retire from this season due to commitments in real life. It looks like those commitments aren't going to affect him tonight. He's going to run it through the hairpin. That is an invalidated lap already. Battery switched off. And it doesn't look like he'll be able to go again. So maybe just get a banker down at this point for him. The mediums will hold on quite nicely for a few laps around here. And Hyper looking to make the most of this tyre now. As he heads through Sector 3 now. Flat out commitment through all of these corners. This isn't what we saw from Jack. This is even better driving from Hyper. Just keeping that car planted through each of these corners, using the downshifts to rotate the car a little. He runs it very far off the track to avoid the invalidation. That Alpine has gone to Narnia to get out of his way, but he is going to come across the line. It's not a great lap, but it's going to be a 22.1. That is fast enough to go to the top of the board. As XD Tyler looking to be on his next effort. What's Metal got? As he's coming through the final sector now, he has kept it clean, he's kept it valid. Jojo Lancer coming out for his first effort of the session. Just now, it will be interesting to see where he can put his car as he comes to the end of his lap. But Metal will be our next driver across the line. What time does he have him? It's a 22.4, so the time's very close and contested right now. XD Tyler running it back on the same set of tyres, I would assume. Unless he's managed to get out on a second set, he has not. Big slide at the rear, but that shouldn't hurt his lap too much. He's still pushing. He's low on battery though, entering this final sector. So playing it very differently to a lot of these drivers. Half a second up though. That would be enough right now to nearly make him to the top of the session, provided he can find that little bit more time. Kloppo pretty much stopped on the main straight on his outlap. As Lancer's going to set up his, as Tyler finishes a lap here, and it looked promising, it looked very good, very low battery as he comes to the line, but it might just be enough, is it? No, it's only a 22.5, a lot of time lost in the final sector. There's so many reasons that you could lose that much time in the final sector. Lancer out on the mediums for his first bit of running, but not pulling a hyper, he's just out for the one lap. On a softer tyre, you can see on the dash, on his dash, top right is his fuel level in laps, 2.2 laps. All that's left in that kick Sauber, but he is going to be ringing that car around the circuit, and 30.3 is not the worst first sector that you'll ever see around Qatar. But what can he do to hook it up? Hyper still out there on track, circulating to do more on this same tyre. He's sure he's not doing a race sim at this point, because that's a lot of time to be on that one set of tyres, especially towards the end of a session. Lancer struggling to hook up that left-hander. That's going to be a big issue for a lot of these drivers around the track. It's a 57.9 at the end of the middle sector. That's about a 27.4 for his middle sector split, so nothing special. But got to remember, it's on the medium. He invalidates though, and will he keep pushing this to the line? I'm sure he would. Just get a delta up can be ideal, but no, he's going to come into the pits, and I think that'll be fresh set of tyres on the car. XD Tyler darting into the pits. Solar looks to be on an out lap. Or is that Yari? Which of the Red Bulls is it? It is Yari, so he'll be going for his second lap, hopefully unimpeded by any extremely slow moving, kind of depressingly slow McLaren drivers. Hyper is coming to the line now. It doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement, but he's found a lot in that final sector. 22.0 the time he's able to set. No one's took out the DRS board yet. Who is going to be the one to do it? See Solar coming around the final corner there to start his next effort, and Quiet Boy, more crucially, is on his first effort. It's been a good middle sector and first sector for the V-carb driver. What can he do as he brings it to the line? It's not going to be top of the pack, but it is a 22.2. Good lap from him. Yari down in that first sector, but only by a marginal amount, so easy to make up time around what is such a technical circuit, and it looked very good through turn 10 there, the long sweeping left-hander, and it is a 10th improvement as he comes through the middle sector, 57.5 as he finishes it. Now it's just what does he have as he comes through the final sector, how much battery does he have left? It looks like a good amount to deploy. This could be provisional pole for the Red Bull driver if he can hold everything together and find just that little bit more through the final sector. The light flashing as he gets the traction down, but straightens up the car, and he is going to run it to the line. What's the time? It's a 21.9. He's the first to do it on this grid, and that is very special from him. He needs that confidence. He's not had very good race performances. His qualifying has been where it's at, and right now holding that top position in qualifying, and Lancer deciding to start from the back. He's retired from this qualifying session. That'll be him starting probably dead last after everything unfolds. Here comes Solar across the line. It's a 22.6 to get him across the board, and the times will only keep falling. That delta between a fresh and a used tyre is incredulous around this track. You can find a couple tenths easy every run that you do, just on confidence and just on the track continuously improving. It looks like the Williams are going nose to tail pretty much to start their next efforts, but what's Shamrock able to do? Through the middle sector, he was doing practice before, he was in those 22s, but low and in time trials, so where is he going to be able to put it? It's a 57.8 at the end of the middle sector, nothing perfect, but the battery level he has left in that car is insane. He could afford to burn for the rest of the final sector if he wants to. Is that going to be able to pull him up? He's burning that battery down now. Everything that he has left, and he comes through the final corner, straightens up the car on the exit, and that is the overtake mode active. He is going to be spearing towards the line now, and the time is a 22.0. P3 provisionally for the Aston Martin driver and the league owner, so you know I can't talk too much shit about him, otherwise I will be fired from this commentary post. But Gaffo and Metal Metal in the Williams cars, just looking to get some decent laps on the board. It's very close to that point now where if you box now you might just get 2 runs in, but it's all so tight for these run plans anymore. Hyper looking to try and get 2 runs in, or maybe just double running that same set of tyres. Here comes Gaffo though, he's going to cross the line. It's a 22.1 from him. Metal Metal has found a bit of time in the middle sector, but can't go ahead of his teammates. A 22.2 from Metal Metal, and even with the times falling, not falling in the right way for a few of these drivers. Blakey Dude 8400 though, on debut to my knowledge. In the first sector it looked like a decent enough time from him, and now just has to hold it together for the rest of his lap really. Just trying to get a bit more pace down. We know who's going to be the bottom bitch of the day apart from Lancer, because Jack Newcastle never really been one with the pace, but you never know what someone can do. But it's looked neat and tidy so far from Blakey Dude, and he comes across that middle sector split. He's found a little bit of time over what he's got. It's been a decent enough bit of running for the Ferrari driver. It may not be stupendously fast, but that's not what matters. He's here to have fun, and the fun I'm sure he is having down in P13 right now. But he's going to round the final corner, he's going to get the battery on. He's not going to get the battery on, so he's just hot lapping this track. He's playing it like it's time trial. It's a 22.9. Good improvement from him, and Hyper invalidating immediately actually, as Gaffo and Metal Metal are going fast back into the pits. I don't know what the rush is between those two, but a couple drivers actually on outlaps, so starting what might be final runs for them. Here comes Quiet Boy. Now, a driver that we expect could get up there. A few tenths so easy to find at times. It's just whether you can drive the lap to do it, and it looks pretty neat through 1 and 2, and 3 is pretty much not a corner. But still time to be lost if you don't drive it right. Through turns 4 and 5 now. It's not quite flat, but it's very fast through here. And he looks to be struggling a bit with the setup, a bit of understeer, having to turn the wheel a lot more to get the car to do what he wants. You know, one of the drivers on that full traction control, Quiet Boy. But all the pace and all the racecraft still in him, and look at that, it's beautiful. Through turn 7 and now through 8, 9 and 10. He's going to be breaking down into 10, and that is about as good as you can take it. For Quiet Boy, there's not much more to maximise. It's a very tricky corner to not invalidate at, and at the end of the middle sector, it is a couple tenths up for the V-carb, and it's pretty much flat out for the rest of the lap now. Is he going to be able to take provisional pole? But, more crucially, is he going to be able to get back around, get a fresh set on, and go again? Because this could be his final chance to do anything in this qualifying session. He's going to come towards the line now. And what is the time going to be for the V-carb driver? It's a 22.0, so only jumps up a couple of places. And that is not good enough if that's your final effort. Jack Newcastle has found a little bit in that middle sector. Can he do anything to pull himself off that back row? He's a little bit faster than I saw him the last time he did all that. Maybe just looking to stick it in the 23s, and he can't quite make it that far. 24.0 for Jack Newcastle. As the final runs will begin to ramp up slowly, Hyper boxed again. He's going to put, I guess, less fuel in the car and a fresh set of softs on. And see what he can do. Bluefoot just starting his lap to see what he can do. Jack is slow at turn 1. Lord knows what he's doing, but who knows what he's doing at any point. And Solar finding a finding a 10th in sector 1, and that time just slowly builds up as the confidence does in the car. And this is a lot higher than we've seen Solar this year. I'm sure if Tim saw this right now, he may just about be fuming at the fact that this driver that was practically useless to him at the start of the season, reserving for Red Bull, actually able to do something with his driving, comes through the middle sector. He's found another little bit of time, and every bit matters around here, especially with how close most of these times are. We don't really count, you know, the likes of Jack here into that most, because he's an entire field's worth of gap away. Gary's just on his outlap now. Quiet Boy's just made it back to the pits. He's not going to get another run in. But Solar here to cross the line. What's he going to do as he finishes his lap? He finds a 10th over his previous lap. Just keeps him a bit more secure in that P9. But every little bit of time is to play for around here. Shamrock has just started a lap. Bluefoot is coming to the end of his lap. Hopefully didn't get held up at all by Jack. He's going to come to the line now. It's a 22.1 from him. Brings himself right up into contention. And anyone in this top 5 could go fastest. And there's Sham. Purple in sector 1. Finding time just inch by inch. Not much practice for this race. Subbed himself in the last minute because he needed to drive this. Otherwise it was me driving. And I swear to God I would be pole by half a second right now. So, Shamrock is going to come through the middle sector. An Alpine there, maybe just a little toe for Shamrock actually. It's a Williams, sorry. And it's 2 tenths up in that middle sector. Shamrock will be feeling the nerves now. He has found more and more time in that car. And what can he do? Through the left-hander, flat out, and into the final corner. What has he done on this effort? Because this could easily spring himself towards provisional pole. He's got the battery. He comes to the line. It's a 21.7 from Shamrock. What a lap from him. And the times continuing to tumble here in Qatar. Bluefoot invalidates his next effort. Metal has invalidated but found a little bit of time. Solar doesn't have the fuel maybe to go for one more, but he's certainly trying. FaZe Monkey needs to find a bit of time. Hyper just starting his final lap, and I'm sure this will be Bluefoot coming into the pits. That's his session over. FaZe Monkey invalidated. He could go again if he wants to, and I think he will try. No, he pulls into the pits. That's his session done. Kloppo has kept it valid so far, but we need to pay attention. Is that Hyper? No, Yari's out of the session. Unfortunate for him. Invalidation for XD Tyler, so Kloppo has found a few tenths. As it stands, Richie goes up to P2, 21.8. The times will continue to tumble here. Kloppo crosses the line up to P9, 22.4. Good lap from him. Shamrock is not going to improve, but Hyper is finding time on this lap now. 3 tenths in the first sector alone, and the time will continue to tumble. We know what Hyper can do as a driver. He is rapid. He is ravenous. He is 8 tenths up. as he crosses the middle sector split, and the time will continue tumbling now. How much more grip do these soft tyres have for the Mercedes driver? I'm sure it is a lot. One of them, Williams, comes across the line. It's a 21.7, just barely misses out on P1. But here comes Hyper. It's been a great effort from him so far. He crosses the line. It's a 21.0 from Hyper. And that is dominance at its finest by the Mercedes driver. Hooked up a beautiful lap right when it counted, at about a second over his previous effort. And as the times come to an end, so Billy Wiz invalid on their laps. Hyper is an absolute demon, destroying the rest of this field. This is what we knew he could do. He did even faster when he raced this in FA. He was a tenth faster there, and I'm sure he had a lot more confidence in him than that. But what a lap in the end from Hyper 295 F1, 7 tenths above anyone. And what is Billy Wiz doing? It seems like he's just out of fuel at this point, cruising back to the pit lane, and qualifying may be over as it stands. But with Hyper's pace, the race may also be over if he's that much faster than the rest of the grid. But apart from Hyper, the rest of the grid that actually finished the session separated by a second from second to 13th. That just being how close everyone was. And then Hyper just pulling out some absolute magic. Apparently only just rejoined the Discord in the middle of this session. What happened to that? But I think Hyper should have just kept that 22, because he was, at least provisionally, going to be P5 on the grid with that earlier time. We've got a 5-place grid penalty for Blakey Dude. We'll be back shortly after a quick lobby reset for the race. URC, actually. I completely forgot that. Because I don't have the chat open. Because typically on FA I have the fucking second thing for chat, but I don't here. Oh, beautiful, back to the comms area.
red lights on the clock and extend it. Tomas get pulled! Why has Rian retired? Abre's up to 7! Oh Jesus Christ! The world champion.
And we are super prepared for this. The formation lap is underway in URC. After qualifying, Hyper 295 F1 has been disqualified from qualifying. We're saying it's due to jet fuel being put into the back of his car, causing him to be just that much faster than everyone else. But that promotes Shamrock to pole from Gaffo, Richie and Yari. And that'll make for a very interesting opening lap. Shamrock making his debut this season on track, deciding to take on the likes of Gaffo. But for formation lap, we've got to do Sham's favourite segment. What tyres are everyone on? And it looks like the top 4 all choosing hards. Quiet Boy going the alternate for this race with a medium. 6th to 9th, all hards. XD Tyler breaking up that little gaggle with a medium. Solar on the hards down to Jack. And then Hyper and Jojo Lancer both starting on a medium, which is an interesting call based on all the strategies I've seen them enjoy, but could also make for a very good opening part of the race where they're going to try and carve their way through the field while those mediums are still fresh. Shamrock really backing up the pack though towards the end of the formation lap, which is very interesting for him. I think Hyper and Tyler just like chilling together on track. I don't know. Here's Jack trying to go around the outside of Blakey on the formation lap. As everything kind of bunches up here, Shamrock really choosing to slow up the field. He's treating this more like a safety car restart than a formation lap. But this could be so advantageous for Quiet Boy, Tyler, Hyper and Lance, who are going to be struggling now. We're going to have low tyre temps, but you've got to remember, the hards take even longer to build temperature. So everyone doing their little weaves and wiggles, and no one disqualified from the formation lap. 10 out of 10 would formation lap with these guys again. And Sham is going to line up, assume pole position from Gaffo. Quiet Boy doing very well here. Shamrock actually keeping it quite straight. Gaffo also doing the same. Is there anyone really looking kind of aggressive here? Billy Wiz certainly seeming aggressive. XD Tyler's not even parked in his grid spot and gets disqualified. Hyper pulling up to the back of the grid as the last man to start here. But we are going to go to 5 red lights very shortly here in Qatar. And it is going to be lights out and away we go. Shamrock look to get a decent start, but Gaffo getting an even better one and down towards turn 1. Richie now going to be putting the pressure on Shamrock as into turn 1. Gaffo leads. Shamrock managing to hang it round the outside to take P2. Quiet Boy up to 4th from Bluefoot as there's a Ferrari and a couple cars off in the back. XD Tyler, Solar and Blakey Dude all coming together and losing places. Lancer already up to 8th in that Kick Sauber, and what a start it's been for him. Those medium tyres are working their magic. Quiet Boy up to 3rd into the hairpin. Who's going to go for an audacious dive? There's a McLaren and an Alpine off in the back. That's going to be Billy Wiz and Jack. And no further positions made as Lancer gets past Kloppo and Yari now trying to recover. It's been a poor getaway from him on that hard compounder tyre. But the time is to be made up. Hyper now battling wheel to wheel with Yari, and Yari gives him the big old squeeze, and that's a snap for Hyper down to P11. But Lancer looking very aggressive on this opening lap and starting to pull his way up the field. P6 for him currently as Yari has pulled a Yari. He's backwards and he is miles down and out of this race. Jack Newcastle making up a position on his sparring partner, and Billy Wiz and Richie is very wide there in the dirty air, and that's going to leave a massive opening for the Kick Sauber, who is the focus of our screen currently. But now Gaffo will be leading. Shamrock getting a poor exit out of the final corner. It's a 28-3 opening lap from the front, but Sham in the tow Quiet Boy with the softer tyres and into turn 1. Quiet Boy takes the position. Lancer also making his way up to P5 and starting to really climb further and further up this field. Yari causing a yellow flag in the final sector. He's into the pits and he is down and out currently. What is he going to do? He needs to switch up this strategy and find something if he wants to do anything in this race. Gaffo not really feeling any pressure, but Lancer starting to make moves through this field and starting to really put pressure on everyone he comes up against. Hyper somehow got past Kloppo on the exit of the hairpin. But as you come down now towards turn 10, this is an opportunity for a move. He can carry the speed nicely enough, but not enough for him. On board with Lancer though on the exit, trying to maximise everything he can, but that dirty air is just a bit too much even for a better tyre. Solar, after looking so good in qualifying, off the track, back up and running again, but down in P14. This is not the weekend for Red Bull. Lancer very wide there, and Yari going very slowly, causing a yellow flag in Sector 1. He is not looking happy now as we start lap 3 of this race, and Quiet Boy getting a very good exit from that final corner. Gaffo going to be feeling the pressure from behind. Lancer sets the fastest lap of the race. He is clearing Richie, but Quiet Boy takes the lead now in Qatar and should hopefully start to run away with it for his sake. He overtakes Gaffo, the DRS, making life a lot easier for him as Blakey and Solar pull into the pits. Their race is not ideal as it stands, but Lancer now next up in line to start taking places from this top 2. You've got Sham and Gaffo, both looking for a good result here, but they've got guys around them with much better tyres. On board we go with Lancer as we start to watch down the field what is going to happen. Lancer just not quite able to make anything happen just yet, but so much time left in the session. Blakey retires from the session. He is out on track right now. Hopefully not a safety car, at least for the sakes of Shamrock, who is going to get overtaken on the way into Sector 3. It's a great move from Lancer, puts him up to P3 and gives him such an opportunity now to try and go after Gaffo and Quiet Boy and maybe assume some lead in this race, but he is struggling right now to keep that car within the white lines, and that might come to harm him later with Hyper also charging through the field and right on the back of this pack as he does so. Lancer at 25-1. I am seeing that lap. I did see most of that lap into turn 1. Quiet Boy is going to go up the inside of Gaffo, uses that beautifully there, defending from Lancer there, and Gaffo reassumes the lead, but Lancer just not able to make a position up because of it, and now really going to be under pressure to make this move happen, because it's not often you see people this close around Qatar, but when you do, it can turn into a bit of a DRS train, and those mediums not going to be supporting it. Kloppo and Jack, the first 2 with 3-second time penalties for corner cutting. They've been naughty on their track limits and no one is enjoying that. But the race will begin to settle down just a bit here, and Gaffo, as these tyres start to come into their window, those hards up in front of Quiet Boy could just begin to start causing a lot of problems for Quiet Boy and Lancer, because once those hards get going, I can tell you, they are the most consistent tyre in the game. The C1 hard around this track for now, so life looking very easy as Shamrock picks up a 3-second time penalty in the Aston Martin, and that is probably another warning to boot, which is not what he needs. Hyper looking a little bit feisty in the background, but all of this top 7 now in a massive train, but Gaffo does have the battery. That is going to be the most important part for this. It looks like Richie's having a go on Shamrock here. Is he going to be able to make the move stick? We're going to keep watching though. Gaffo and Quiet Boy wheel to wheel through turn 1. Shamrock keeps the position over Richie, but Gaffo and Quiet Boy still side by side, and Quiet Boy hanging around the outside of turn 2. Turns to the inside for turn 3, but Gaffo looking to fight this all the way to the very end. Gaffo picks up a 3-second on the inside. There's a little bit of argy-bargy there, but Gaffo down to P2 and now going to be feeling the pressure from the Kicksauber behind, who's going to have some great opportunities here. Bluefoot and Hyper going for a battle, and Hyper is backwards and now drops behind the Williams of Metal Medal. This is not what he needed. With Fran Bernoulli not racing, life just getting ever harder. Gaffo with a 3-second time penalty after his warning on the inside of turn 4. Not what he needs either, but again, Quiet Boy and Gaffo need to work together here. A lot faster driver behind the two of them that could cause them a lot of problems a lot later in this race. But Hyper now really with the work to do on a medium tyre around here. You start that overheating, it is not going to stop overheating, unfortunately for him. But Gaffo has a decent gap to Quiet Boy and Lancer behind him. So this could be the point now where they start to just work together, keep Lancer behind at all costs. But Lancer looking very good in a straight line right now. And towards turn 1, those softer medium tyres may prevail, but Gaffo gets up the inside of Quiet Boy and manages to make the move stick, and Lancer not able to do anything in return. This is some great defensive driving from the two drivers that just don't really have any stakes between them as it stands. But it'll help them defend from what is an absolute titan on the field in Lancer, who's sat in that P3 right now, and I'm sure Shamrock, seeing how much Lancer is struggling to keep up with these two and struggling to make a move, maybe thinking about a move of his own. But as these laps tick down, Quiet Boy and Lancer, the two in the top 7, the two in the top 6 train here on the medium tyres, will begin to struggle more and more with their tyres as Lancer goes for a big snap on that exit, and that's going to cost him a good bit of time. Shamrock unable to really do much, but using a lot more battery or just having a lot more straight line speed in that car to just get himself right on the back of Quiet Boy. Once again, he goes very wide, surely building up towards a 3-second penalty as FaZe Monkey and Yari both pick up a 3-second penalty at the same time. Towards the final corner now though, Quiet Boy's a lot closer to Gaffo, which means Lancer is a lot closer to Gaffo, and this might set up a great opportunity for Lancer to get a move done. But Gaffo into turn 1, not going to be able to hold back Quiet Boy. Lancer takes a look to the inside, can't quite make anything happen though. And Gaffo, however much he wants to fight back at Quiet Boy, the grip's still not quite there as Metal Medal and FaZe Monkey duel a little bit in the background, and FaZe Monkey does eventually concede. But all this battling up in front is allowing the Mercedes looming behind of Hyper to bring himself back towards this battle. Those medium tyres do last long if you treat them nicely enough, but Hyper doing an incredible job right now, struggling on that rear end. So I think those tyre temperatures just climbing a little bit for the Mercedes driver. But he's starting to close in. He really does like an aggressive car, Hyper, but is this going a little bit too much to the aggressive side for him? He's managed to close back into the DRS, but you see the pickup now on that front left tyre of his. How hard has he had to push those tyres? Lancer's tyre actually looking a bit better than Hyper's, but the understeer is incredulous. Both Aston Martins now on a 3-second time penalty as Jack picks up another. Here comes Bluefoot though, looking into the final corner at Richie, but nothing able to be done. Maybe on the start-finish straight he can do something. This top 7 all very close, and Lancer now maybe standing a chance on the back of RB Gaffo towards turn 1. Can't quite make anything happen and just has to sit behind once again. These positions not being made up as FaZe Monkey gets up the inside of Metal Medal to keep that position for now. But we know what it's like around here. Position swap very easily. That DRS Kloppo picks up a 3-second in P10 at the moment, doing a very good job in his V-carb while his teammate leads the race. But Hyper now really needing something special in his race. Obviously, P7 right now struggling a bit on that rear end, and I'm wondering how hard has he pushed that setup to be super aggressive for the race, because he seems to just be sliding every time we go on board with him. Let's see, through turn 10, didn't look too bad. Looks like he's just trying to keep it a bit more controlled now on the back of Bluefoot. And he is right there. He's going to look up the inside of the triple right here. He's wheel to wheel with Blue, but that's a massive snap, and you see that from how aggressive his car is currently set up. He's just struggling to put everything together and keep his car on the track the way he wants to. Richie picking up a 3-second in the Haas in this fight. But Lancer now having the exit of dreams, but he's out of the tow. He's out of the slipstream, may have DRS and battery, but Gaffo, with a lovely tow on the back of Quiet Boy into turn 1, is going to look to the inside of Quiet Boy. And can Lancer capitalise on this? Lap 9 starting now. 8 laps on those mediums, and they're going to start to feel a bit worse for wear. And Lancer just doesn't have the grip to really do anything with that aggressive dive from Gaffo, who's starting to look a little bit worse for wear in the hands of Lancer, who just seems to be able to push him, unfortunately, in all the wrong places, just tapping the back of Gaffo on the exit of the final corner, killing his momentum, and then just being out of that tow as he tried to go for the move, meaning that Gaffo could keep the position ahead of the Kick Sauber driver. But this is going to go down to the wire, and I think if a safety car came out now, Lancer and Hyper, probably the 2 drivers in the best position right now on that medium tyre. And even Quiet Boy, in a sense, I keep forgetting Quiet Boy is on that medium tyre, but he's just been so good out in front at controlling the race that it's kind of gone unnoticed, because you expect that medium tyre to cause a lot more issues as the stint goes on. But it looks right now like he's just a little bit unable to pull away from Gaffo, and he's going to be lower on the battery again. Lancer into the final corner this time, looking a bit more patient, but a little snap on the exit, and that again just kills a bit of his momentum. Does Gaffo and Quiet Boy have the battery here to keep themselves ahead? It looks like Gaffo does, but Lancer with a bit more, still just unable to do anything. Hyper and Bluefoot wheel to wheel in turn 1, and surely Hyper's going to make up the position, and he has. He's kept that position now over Bluefoot. It's up to P6 for the Mercedes driver, and next up on the chopping block is going to be Richie. But how hard are those tyres hurting? How hard are those mediums starting to fall away? I think Lancer looks a little bit worse than Quiet Boy. Hyper looks a little bit worse than Lancer. So it's all still to play for. I think the rear end is what we've got to be concerned about on a couple of these drivers. I think, again though, looking at the medium runners, it's Hyper on the worst, with how much he's had to push to get back into this train, and the struggle is just going to keep setting in for the Mercedes driver out in front, as actually it looks like this top 7 battle could be joined momentarily and become a top 9 battle, because here comes FaZe Monkey towards the back of this pack, and he is dragging Metal along with him. So it might be time for a big battle to break out, or for some of these medium runners to maybe consider a huge undercut on the hards, but it's whether or not they can make it happen. Gaffo obviously staying out, but Lancer, he can't take his tyres any longer. He's in from P3 in this race. He makes the pit stop, and now Shamrock maybe under a bit of pressure, not able to do anything into turn 1. Quiet Boy just sits back and relaxes. And now I think the big question is there's not much that's going to happen in terms of fighting. Firstly, Lancer obviously onto a hard 19 to the end. It's doable, but it'll be a bit of conservation. But Lancer is going to come out in a beautiful, as you can see, patch of clean air. He has about, I'd say that's 10 to 12 seconds in front of him of just pure clean air to drive into. And yeah, 12 seconds. The gap to XD Tyler, he's going to start closing immediately. But Quiet Boy's tyres now definitely fading. He's not been able to stick with Gaffo on this lap as he has in previous laps. And it doesn't look like it's a battery conservation thing, because he seems to not really be doing too much of that as it stands. His rear light is flashing though, but realising that is a mistake, he needs to get and stay within Gaffo's DRS before Gaffo's just allowed to control this race from the front. But Gaffo pushing himself through this final sector, and crucially looking right now like he's broken DRS. Has he completed that break? He has, so Quiet Boy out of DRS, and this might be his call now to come into the pits, get a fresh set of hards on and try and take them. There goes Quiet Boy. Is Hyper going to follow? No, he's staying out even longer. But Shamrock now with a little bit of a job to do in that Aston Martin, because he needs to get himself onto the back of Gaffo once again. Bluefoot not able to make an impression on Hyper on the main straight. But there's a yellow flag in Sector 3. That is XD Tyler. He's got a front left puncture, so took those mediums a bit too far for what he can do. And that is going to be a pit stop. It looks like maybe a missing bit of front wing for him. Unlucky for the Mercedes driver. Let's see, do the Mercedes crew come out with a new front wing for him. It might be, no. Wing fully intact, just can't see it from that TV pod offset camera. But now, all on Shamrock really in this top 6, or actually top 7 now. Because Metal and FaZe Monkey have joined the back of this truly. A Metal and FaZe Monkey with those hard tyres actually starting to make a bit of an impression on these guys. Hyper surely thinking this or next lap to come into the pits, put on a new set of tyres and take them as far as he can to this end now. Because it's very unlikely from here that a safety car will happen. As Gaffer is actually coming towards lapping Jack Newcastle here. Congratulations, Jack, you're probably going to get the record for earliest lapping in URC as Hyper does come into the pits, and he will get onto a set of hards most likely and go to the end into turn 1. Richie making that move, easily stick on Shamrock, and now he'll be the one to maybe make an effort at getting on to RB Gaffer. I think Metal is actually taking a second go at it. Jojo Lancer setting a 24.6, good pace from him, and Yari, more crucially, having another spin. Where does Lancer come out is the question, and Lancer with a great gap over these guys behind him now, and that will definitely see him take the lead after this. But the tyre advantage really builds up around here. Lancer's tyre is going to be dying towards the end of this lap, towards the end of this race, sorry, and that'll be where the likes of Gappo, Richie, Sham, Blue, FaZe all can bring themselves back into it. I'm surprised Metal's gone so early, so this might be a 2-stop for the Williams driver, but the 2-stop not really ideal around here. Yari taking a second set of hards as it stands, and this top 7 now, all with 3-second time penalties, but all with a very good chance of bringing themselves back later into this race. But Gaffo with a good lead as it stands, and no one really able to challenge at the moment. Is anyone thinking about maybe just taking an early stop here and trying to take the tyres much longer than they should? I know Yari could if he was actually in this race, but Yari, as we see there, is going a lap down. It's not surprising. Yari looked like he was going to be very strong today, but just unable to really do anything, pulls completely off the track. Maybe even stops there, honestly. He's parked in the wall, he's lost his wing, and there is a safety car out because of Yari hitting the wall there. Don't know what happened to him, but he does not look very happy in what he's doing right now. The full safety car is out. Yari retires on track now that the safety car is out. And this could make the race very tasty. With this safety car, can Gappo, Richie, Sham, Blue, FaZe and Kloppo take a set of mediums to the end? That is now the question, and I will provide you the answer as soon as my phone unlocks to the right page on whether or not they can make anything happen. Tim, obviously we said if you want to join the post-race interview room, because we will drag you in for some safety car discussions. There shouldn't have been a safety car this race, but by some miracle there was. So I would love to get your thoughts on what's going on right now, but Hyper definitely a bit screwed over by this issue that he's had. Yari very unhappy, into the pits. They must all go E-I-E-I-E-I-O. And it would be tight. If they can save those mediums a bit, they might make them go to the end. And that would be incredible for them. But everyone in the pits, what is going to happen to Lancer? Where might he come out? He's not. He's just boxing. Hyper actually softs. Hyper's on softs. What? Okay, well that's worked out for Hyper, who comes into the pits. Quiet Kid obviously going to the end here. Where did Quiet Boy go? He's P4. He's going to the end on that hard, so who really gives it down? He's going to just stay out. But Lancer and Hyper onto mediums, so a second run on the mediums for both of these guys, and that will make things very interesting as this race goes on. Now, Jack Newcastle, somehow, some way, under a safety car, getting a penalty. I would love to know how that happens. But got Lancer here on mediums, Hyper on a medium. Everyone might just be risking it to the end here. I think the only one truly safe to the end here will be Quiet Boy. But it's what can everyone else do on their tyres to make this race work for them. Hyper, I just need to confirm that. Yeah, Hyper went on to softs and stayed out. But Hyper, Lancer, and everyone who just boxed onto a medium might be struggling to get to the end here. I'd love to see what they're able to do with these tyres. Is this a blunder from them? Is this a great success from them? That is all we've got to know. Gaffo sat in the lead right now from Richie, Shamrock, Quiet Boy, Bluefoot, Kloppo. And actually, Kloppo up to P6. As it stands, Hyper. I think we have the feature again. What has Hyper said mid-race?
I had a bug, that's what it was. Just correct corners, but in the softs.
Interesting words from Hyper. But let's hear from the retiree, Yari Spams L2, coming in for the interview. Yari, welcome to the stream. Disappointing race from your end. Can you just tell us what happened to cause that DNF?
Nothing really happened. I just spun and the car stand there, and then it's a safety car on accident.
Yeah, I mean, it'd been quite a poor race from you in general. You kind of seem to have a lot of issues. Just can you tell us what caused a lot of what happened in that race for you?
Wing damage in turn 1, and then couldn't be arsed to race anymore.
Yeah, and obviously after a decent streak recently in leagues of driving pretty well, this must be a little bit depressing for you. Are you looking to come back next week and hopefully bring everything back together?
Oh no, man. Really not. Maybe, I'll see.
Well,
depends what race you.
We hope to see you back in a better state next week. Obviously, it's been a rough race on your end, but thank you for coming in for a quick mid-race interview, and hope you're a lot better in your future races.
Thanks, man.
That was Yari, not very happy with his race as it went on. Just a quick few words from him. Unfortunate for Red Bull, really, who have needed points since the Guido incident. And Jack Newcastle, let's just... Jack, can we see that line again, please? Can you just demonstrate to us exactly what you're doing right now? Because it looks very interesting. Under a safety car to be about 3 decades off the track. You will be our new featured driver until you actually make it to the safety car cube. You seem to be struggling to keep it on the track. Just as it is. Look at the line on the main straight. He is dead centre of the straight, trying to hit that mirror that was stuck on the track a couple of years ago for half the race. And come on, Jack, let's see some incredible racing lines and pace from you as you try and catch the safety car. Not looking very confident as it stands, but look at this. He can make the car go through a corner properly. He just can't seem to hook it up every lap. And that might have been his downfall when qualifying came around. But he is going to join back of the field. And I think thankfully for everyone, and thankfully for me as well, because I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what everyone can do. Jack, I do not trust that you are going to win. Why are you typing in the chat during the safety car as it stands? But hopefully the safety car should come in towards the end of this lap, and it will. So, now Quiet Boy's prerogative to back... Sorry, Gaffo's prerogative. I'm used to seeing Quiet Boy and Williams when I'm on comms. But Gaffo's prerogative now to back the field up and do what he must. Quiet Boy, Metal Metal, Billy Wiz, XD Tyler and Solar. The 5 drivers on the grid on a hard tyre right now. The 5 drivers with the best chance of making it to the end, and the ones that will have the best pace towards the end. But first they must fall before they can rise. The safety car is in the pit lane, and when does Gaffo make his launch? He will do it now. He's launched the car and away he goes. It's a great safety car restart from the Williams driver, safely ahead of everyone else. Quiet Boy already in the mid-pack, looking to try and make a move into turn 1. Nothing able to happen. Lancer looking very good up the inside here, and Hyper trying to squeeze his way through. 3 wide for Hyper. We've seen that go horribly for a front runner before, and Hyper is off. And Hyper down to the back of the grid. He takes Billy Wiz with him, and wing damage for the Mercedes, taking him out of contention. As it stands, that qualifying disqualification for him not going very well. Lancer up to P6 on the restart, and now needs to start making up more and more places. Metal Metal dropping back behind Kloppo. Looks a bit argy-bargy from the two of them, and XD Tyler capitalising on that, making up another position. But Kloppo not able to keep his car on the track. It looks like maybe Kloppo with a bit of wing damage here. Metal Metal and Jack picking up 3-second time penalties down the field, and a DRS gap, as did in the first stint, opening to the top 7. Kloppo maybe with a bit of wing damage, and yeah, you can see it there, front right end plate completely missing, and that's going to harm him a lot around what is such a difficult track to do anything on. Shamrock sticking nice and close to Richie, compromised his run a little bit through that fast left-hander, but now Richie, Gaffo and Sham all need to be careful, not just about track limits, not just about Quiet Boy lurking in the background, but about their tyres. These mediums are not rated for the length they're trying to go. But you don't know what happens until the very end, into turn 1. Richie happy to sit back as it stands. Quiet Boy is going to drop behind Bluefoot. That's not going to be a concern for him right now in a few laps. Those hards are going to be the best tyres on the grid, but he needs really to keep this man, Lancer, behind. But he doesn't have the battery in Lancer. Up the inside of turn 4. He gets another 3-second time penalty for his trouble. But Quiet Boy, unfortunately, down to P6, needs to stay in this train though. That is the most crucial part. Into the pits must go Billy Wiz. Maybe gotten a bit more wing damage than he would like, but Hyper, after that disqualification in qualifying, now more than ever needing to put on an absolute display. Down to P11 as it stands, and dropping more and more away from the front of this field, as they're really going to start to try and stretch their legs to the best of their ability. But making it to the end is not a guarantee around here. Very tough on tyres is this track. Rated for 13 laps as Sham picks up another 3-second penalty. A quick look at the penalty situation. Sham 6 seconds and Quiet Boy no penalties. The rest are on 3 seconds in that top 5. Jack Newcastle picking up another 3-second penalty. But now we head down the main straight. Richie surely now going to make a move as Lancer in the background also looking to make a move into turn 1. We see Richie up the inside of Gaffo. Gaffo hangs it beautifully around the outside to keep the position. Lancer fortunately able to do a bit better against his sparring partner. Up to P4 as it stands, and without a tyre disadvantage compared to the rest of these guys, is now going to be looking for a major charge towards the front of this field. Quiet Boy down to P7 and looking to slowly fade off at the moment. But there's always time to come back. It is a track where those hards do last, but it's whether he can stick close enough to this field to make it count. Lap 20 though, and Gaffo will continue on, pushing forward to try and do whatever he can to win this race now. Through the left-hander of turn 10, Richie picks up another 3-second penalty. His win contention is pretty much over with how close this top 6 is and then that 7th person just hanging a little bit further back. We're going to take a look at the gap to the leader right now. Quiet Boy still just about hanging on in the DRS, and within that 3-second margin, he needs to still win this race, which is just incredible to me that they are this close. 7 cars in 3 seconds is something you rarely see in this game. But Richie now needing to do something. Lancer with the fastest lap. Phase Monkey goes even faster into turn 1. Shamrock now going to be under pressure from Lancer, but Lancer just sticking behind the Aston Martin for now. Gaffo and Richie are going to be wheel to wheel, but Gaffo, a no-nonsense driver there, leaving the door slammed shut for Richie. But everyone is practically nose to tail down towards turns 4 and 5. This is where the field will start to spread just a little bit here, with everyone on very equal age tyres. It's where you'll see a little bit of a gap spread. It's where you'll slowly see Quiet Boy ever more closely close back in as this stint goes on, as those hards become the better race tyre over this stint. But Richie not really falling away as you'd expect in the dirty air. He is right on Gaffo and leaving him under a lot of pressure as it stands. And Lancer doing the same to Shamrock here, and this could change pretty much everything for this top 7, as Quiet Boy has managed to sneak his way back closer. We take a look at the gap to the leader. It has shrunk. That's how close these guys are in performance. They are closing in on each other like lions, and that is what might end up being the key to this race win. Richie now will have the DRS, he will have a great tow, he'll probably have a lot more battery, and I'm sure this will be a quick and easy move into turn 1, and he needs to do it. And he needs to make like me and dart away from these guys, because that 6 seconds worth of penalties is not going to be doing his race any favours, but it's how hard can he push the car before it gives up on him. Piper has cleared that field that he was in, and now it's a question of whether he's able to close up. Gaffo getting his next set of penalty, and that is not what he needs. He's also fallen away quite a lot from Richie on this lap, who's looking to really lay down the law here. 6-second penalties for Richie and Gaffo. I'm going to pull up those penalties because they're going to be crucial to the end. Quiet Boy still crucially in that gap to win this race, and every lap that is going to be important here, of whether Quiet Boy is still within range of the leader, or the net leader as it will have to be, because you never know what's going to happen. Gaffo closing in through this final sector on Richie, which is what he needs. He can work together with his good mate Shamrock to try and keep Lancer behind here as well. But did Gaffo just lose DRS as Billy Wiz sets a fastest lap on a soft? So interesting strategy from him. Down the main straight, Gaffo does not in fact have DRS, but he does have some incredible straight line speed compared to Richie. Closes into half a second into turn 1. Shamrock not going for anything, but critically the gap staying close enough to Richie now to where Gaffo still stands a mega chance of being somewhere strong in this race, which is what he needs towards the end of this. Hyper closing in a second last lap, I believe it was, to Quiet Boy. It helps that this top 6 are fighting, are trying to figure everything out. Quiet Boy's just kind of sat at the back being like, I'm still winning on penalties here, I can just keep going and do what I want. Gaffo staying a bit closer this lap to Richie, and maybe just trying to keep his DRS prospects a bit better, a bit more battery for the Williams driver here. Critical to his race as Quiet Boy slowly but surely having to build his way back up now to being in that win. Gaps once again 3.2 for Quiet Boy to the leader. We look at penalties. Lancer is the first 3-second boundary that is the more important of anything in this race, and Gaffo more critically keeps DRS this lap, so may be able to keep a charge on against Gaffo. So really, Lancer currently is going to win this race unless something happens. He has to pull out the DRS. Billy Wiz retires in the pit lane, thankfully, but Lancer can't stick behind Shamrock anymore. Takes P3 from him, and now has a chance to charge on against these top 2 drivers in the race. But if that move was so difficult on Shamrock, how much harder is it going to be on two drivers that seem a decent bit quicker in front of him? Ploppo and XD Tyler going wheel to wheel through turn 2. Great little fight between them, and Hyper just not able to close as much. That wing damage hindering the Mercedes driver, and this might just leave him vulnerable. He's only on 3 seconds of penalties, so he can use this time to try and close up to the leading bunch and maybe just stand a chance of winning this, of getting some decent points out of this race instead of what he's currently sitting at, which is just a P8 and a dream. If we just take a quick look as well, I want to see Jack Newcastle, 18 seconds of time penalties, not a surprise whatsoever, and Lancer looking valiant as ever in his efforts to maybe make a move before a typical overtaking point, but that dirty air hurting him all the way through those fast corners right at the end of the final sector, and that's allowed Shamrock to close right in on the back of him. Does Richie still have the tyres to get a good exit? He has a much better exit than Lancer, who still has a better exit than Shamrock. Down the main straight they go towards turn 1. Richie looking to the inside of Gaffo, decides against it, and Lancer just not able to make anything happen as it stands, as the top 7 keep close. Going to check every lap. It's 2.6 between all of them with 5 laps to go. That is some ridiculous stuff here. As we come towards the end of Qatar, you never expect this, but the question is, who might get a puncture in this race? Quiet Boy won't, he's on hards, but everyone else is going to struggle to get these tyres to the end with how hard they're pushing each other through this race. 13 laps the rated limit according to my information, but a few of these guys have gone under that limit. So it's time to see. We've got 4.5-ish laps to go in Qatar. Jack Newcastle, I know he might seem like he's a mile ahead right over here. He is not the one a mile ahead. He's actually just starting lap 25 as it stands. The guy that says, I'm going to win Trust, is 46 seconds behind his nearest competitor. But Lancer once again closing in at the wrong point of this track to really make an imprint on Richie, but actually doing a lot better job this time around to stick right on the back of the Haas driver, but struggling again through the final corner. Can he get the launch that he needs on board with the Sauber driver towards turn 1? Richie's going to get Gaffo. Is Lancer going to get Gaffo? To the outside goes Lancer into turn 1. Gaffo just able to outbrake him and hang it up the inside. And that is some good defense from Gaffo as Quiet Boy gets past FaZe Monkey and now can start closing back in to his target in this race of winning in URC. 9/10 the gap to P2. Billy Wiz says, what the fuck was that race? I got hit about 6 times after retiring in the pit lane. So it'll be interesting to see what happened to him. Bluefoot looking a bit more confident at this point than his teammate, and Richie looking the most confident of the top 6 as it stands. Still just able to pull a bit of a gap as soon as he takes the lead, and actually Gaffo really becoming a bottleneck here as Lancer trying to look all over the back of the Williams driver, who just can't seem to do anything currently, and Lancer now surely going to have to try and go for a move. The DRS is broken to the leader, and it's a huge lift for Lancer in this final sector, and look at that again, too close in a bad part of the track, getting dirty air all over that front wing of his. And now here comes Shamrock. He's looking left, right, centre, everywhere against Lancer. Can't quite do anything about it, but Gaffo doesn't have the DRS, doesn't have the slipstream, doesn't have anything. Quiet Boy has the exit, and Quiet Boy is going to take P5, and Shamrock actually helping him a little bit, moving out, giving a tow. And will Quiet Boy go for the move on Shamrock? No, he won't. But Gaffo and Lancer still having to go at it. Wheel to wheel, Lancer has the inside line. It's hard to hang around the outside of this corner. Gaffo having to go off the track. But he's going to keep fighting, and there's contact. Lancer's round. And that has ruined Lancer's race. He was looking on for the win here, but that has thrown Gaffo and Lancer miles off. And now, Quiet Boy in the winning seat as it stands. What can anyone else do to prevent this? Richie, 3 laps to go, needs to pull 6 seconds, this guy, as with Shamrock. So right now, Quiet Boy looking golden for a win. Silently creeping his way through with a better strategy, sticking it out on that hard tyre when everyone else thought they needed a medium. Gaffo and Lancer not looking very happy with each other. Lancer just hitting into Gaffo, who I think has a bit of wing damage from all of that chaos that just happened. Yeah, Gaffo missing his whole front wing from that. That is incredible to see from the Williams driver, who's just kind of had to pull out the way here. But Shamrock, critically, for his defense, has pulled into DRS of Richie, whose P, I don't know yet, is really under threat. Hyper, actually, through all of this, could still come away with a podium. He's only on 3 seconds as it stands, and a lot of these guys in the top 6, with a lot more penalties, and Hyper has just slowly but surely made his way back up to these guys, completely forgetting that anything else happened in this race, and just a war of attrition that is Qatar. But who has taken the most out of their tyres? Trying to take a look at tyres right now. I think Shamrock looking the worst on that front left as it stands, but rears hurt just as much as fronts around Qatar. And this could be where the race is decided. Hyper looking a lot more confident in that Mercedes. Richie, probably the most happy driver on the field right now, just to be leading the race. Clean air. No one in his DRS. But such a shame for Gaffo, who's struggling now with no front wing. I think he's just trying to take that lack of front wing to the end now. Not really ideal, because Solar's just going to take that P10 away from you, mate. And that'll be a pointless race on his return to URC after he looked so good in the opening section. But on track, Richie about to start the final lap from Sham and Quiet Boy. And Quiet Boy, the only penaltyless person on this grid currently. And currently on for a win. He's kept those hards in beautiful condition. Low battery for everyone up front. Nothing really causing issues though. And as the final lap starts, Hyper, the only one really trying to get on the move, right on the back of FaZe Monkey, but that dirty air over a broken wing, not going to be helping Jack. Pretty much stopped. He's got a front left puncture. Good job, Jack Newcastle. Good job overall. Is anyone else, though, going to get a puncture? Is anyone at risk as it stands? Quiet Boy certainly shouldn't be great on tyres. Is that guy. But everyone in the top 6 seeming to keep their tyres alive. And on track, it's been a great display from everyone racing today. Everyone's raced incredibly well. They've held on. They've took tyres to limits they probably didn't think possible earlier on in the race. But there can only be one person on track to win the race, and it's not someone who you would have thought earlier on. Richie is rounding the final couple of corners as it stands on track. He has driven a beautiful race. Those mediums have worked incredibly for him. Gaffo retires from the session, but Richie rounds the final corner, at least on track. He will win. Shamrock will come P2, but Quiet Boy, after the penalties, takes the win in Qatar. It's going to be a jump up. It's not going to be a jump up from Hyper. Hyper not gaining position despite being down on penalties to everyone else. So it's a Quiet Boy win. Richie P2, Sham P3, Blue P4. FaZe Monkey came home 5th from Metal, Hyper, Lancer. Solar gets P9. Quiet XD Tyler gets P10. Kloppo a mile back will get 11th. I would love to hear what Tim's thinking, that Solar actually scored more points than one of his drivers in this race. And then it will be an absolute mile and a lap over everyone back. Jack Newcastle rounds the final corner. And he will come home. And never mind, he won't come home. He will retire. That is the race over. And it's Quiet Boy from Richie from Shamrock. And what a race from all three of those guys. It has been a race weekend to remember in URC. Quiet Boy gets a win by 4 seconds, but only really because of penalties. Richie drove a great race on his hard, on his mediums, It's a P3 for the league owner in Shamrock. 4th for Blue, 5th for Metal. 5th for Phase Monkey, 6th for Metal. Hyper, unfortunate with damage, 7th. Lancer, 8th. 9th for Solar, and the final point paying position goes to XD Tyler, who probably infuriated Tim a bit by losing out to Solar. Shortly, be having interviews with a few of our drivers from the race. Obviously, we heard from Yari in the mid-race, who was a little bit disappointed in what happened during that race for himself. But we're going to hear from a few other drivers in just a moment. All right, friend, you can get an interview. It was non-existent. Didn't come to the race, but he can get an interview. Why not? Welcome back. We're here with Fran Bernoulli, who didn't even race today, but has a few words to give to some of his competitors. So tell us, firstly, what do you think of the race, if you even watched it, Fran?
Yeah, well, it was a good race. Bluefoot bottled another podium. It was good fun. It's nice to see Sham drinking some champagne as well. And yeah, nice to see Hyper, my championship rival, giving some charity points away and becoming and bottling the race again. So it was a good race.
All right, and obviously you wanted to say a few things to your competitors, obviously missing a few races yourself. So what do you want to say to everyone out there who thinks you're going to lose the title because of this?
I just want to say I'm going to win the championship. That's all. Like, I'm just going to win the championship. And from next race onwards, I'm going to win the championship.
All right, then, Fran. Brave fighting words from you. We will.
I was trying to give Hyper a bit of an equal championship fight since he missed the 3 races, but it seems like he doesn't want to win. So, yeah.
All right, well, thank you for coming along, Fran. Next up on the interview list will be Shamrock, P3, in a race that you only really knew you were driving a couple of hours ago. So, how do you think that went for you overall, Sham?
I was pretty surprised. I didn't think I had the pace, and yeah, as you said, it was last minute, so I just said I'd race or make up numbers. Did not think I'd put the car on the front row. That was certainly a shock. And then the race went well. It was just the dirty air cost me a lot of track limit penalties, especially in sector 3, which wasn't ideal. Obviously, very unfortunate for that. But look, it is what it is. Yeah, overall, I thought it was a good race. It was quite a fun battle between myself, Gaffo, and Richie up front. Obviously, fair play to himself, and Quiet Boy not getting a penalty is, I think, impressive on its own. But yeah, I thought the race was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously your first race this season in URC, first time you abandoned me to the commentary box on my own without another reason for not being here. But you did quite well considering the lack of practice and the lack of real knowledge of the circuit. Can you tell us generally just how you felt going into it? Because I feel like it's a lot harder when you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, look, I think I just kind of went into the race with nothing to lose, I guess. As I mean, I'm just an owner stepping in for the one race, just to make up the numbers, and I didn't expect anything massive. I just kind of wanted to go in there and help Blue, because I think he thinks I took the podium away from him, and I wanted to give him that P3 if he was close enough to me. I wasn't going to sabotage myself to let him gain back up the time. So I would have let him by if he was closer to me and if he was able to get by. But going into the race, yeah, it was just a matter of bit of fun, nothing to lose, see what happens. It was kind of more relaxed and stuff. And the setup I had in time trial felt really good. And then qualifying, it was a really good setup as well. So I was comfortable, let's just say.
Well, that's what you really needed. Obviously, that safety car came out at what probably wasn't an ideal time for you, because I think you would have wanted to do a few more laps on that hard tyre. But just generally, how was the tyre management towards the end? Because that was the place where I thought we might see a few punctures up front.
Yeah, tyre management was good. I was in a VC with Blue and Gaff, so they were talking about how you could manage the tyres in one of the Formula Aero races. So I started on the hards. I think by the time I pitted, I think my tires were on like 55%, 60% on the hards, something like that. So they were quite worn. And then on the mediums, I didn't warm them that much under the safety car, just because I didn't want to get too much wear on them. And I was surprised that I was able to get them to the end, because I thought the game was telling me to go onto the softs and box again. But thankfully, I didn't have to do that. So, yeah, look, a bit of relief, and definitely a bit of shock for myself, considering I don't race on the game anymore. And, my race in Formula Aero last week didn't go to plan nicely, or this week, I should say. So, yeah, it's a real... it's kind of confusion, because in one track I have good pace like this tonight, and then tonight... And then in Formula Aero, it was a different kind of race, really, unfortunately.
Yeah, it can be a bit track dependent, Sham, obviously. Very different characteristics of tracks, because you had Mexico, which is quite low downforce in Formula Aero, and then you had a very high downforce track of Qatar here. So that might be where your strengths are. But thank you for coming along, Sham. We're going to bring up now Richie, our P2 driver, for an interview. Richie, how was that race for you?
Hello. Pretty good.
Yeah, just generally, obviously, that's quite a tough race. Obviously, you were winning before penalties, Richie, but how did it go for you generally? Because it looked like you had very good pace in that middle stint, but you just weren't able to quite pull away.
Yeah, I think I had pretty good pace. It was just the pins that kind of screwed me over. I think it was on the same lap, I got 2 warnings, got myself a pen, did the same thing like 10 laps later.
Yeah, and obviously, in recent form, we've not seen you quite as well up there, Richie, but today you kind of brought it back a bit. So do you think you're going to be able to carry that forward through the rest of this season?
I mean, I hope. The next few tracks I do quite like, so I'm hoping I can maybe get a couple more podiums.
Alright, well, thank you for coming along, Richie. Good job today, and hopefully we see you up there in the future. And for the final interview tonight, because Quiet Boy isn't around, we're bringing up everyone's favourite, Hyper295 F1, for an interview. How is it going, Hyper, and how is that race for you?
A joke. First off, we get a joke of a penalty, we'll call it, which obviously robbed me. Then we had a Haas decide he wants to be Pastor Maldonado into the is it the quarter triple, whatever, the long right. Nearly takes me out. Then I have a rear lock, fair enough. Then by the time the safety car comes in, looking good, right? Get murdered off the start by, I think it was not Yari, what the
Billy
fuck's
Wiz.
the name of Billy Wiz. And the other guy. It wasn't Billy Wiz's fault, it was the other guy. He decided to just turn like I wasn't there. And then I got penalties for no reason when I wasn't off the track. And yeah.
Yeah, so obviously...
Pretty much sums it up.
So obviously, qualifying that 21-0 was a magical lap from you compared to the rest of the grid, but your car found to be illegal by the FIA post-qualifying with the...
found to be illegal. No,
yeah,
you were just scared.
Hyper,
just scared.
There was jet fuel in your car, Hyper. That's what we saw from up here. So the disqualification costing you what was probably an easy race win. But towards the end, obviously, with that wing damage, how was the pace? Because it looked very slow.
Well, I think we saw the real pace difference between me and this league. Well, the real difference, it's just talent. Some drivers just don't have it. Some can't race side by side. Some just don't have the straight line speed. They have to have the high wings. And in response to both the multiple assassination attempts and the penalty, I am referring to what me and Tim have decided to say. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. You will be seeing a different type of racing next week. Funny you say that. Let's just say the last week has been an interesting form of practice. We'll just say that. All I'm saying is I think my best lap was close to FA pole. So oh, not Mr. Crybaby.
I heard the word scared. I heard the word scared coming from someone who finished P7 in the race. So
well, Fran, when you need handicaps, let me know.
I was just interested to see why we would be scared of you. That's all.
Well, whenever you need handicaps, let me know, okay? Then we'll discuss scared.
You didn't answer my question.
As I said, I just did answer your question. You let me know.
A lot of people choose other professions to be good at. You're just not good at racing, so you should stick to the guitar lessons, mate. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, mate, you're clearly not good at holding your head up.
Alright, so my mic ended up muted, but that'll be it for the stream. We'll be back next week in Zandvoort for what'll be a 36 lap, a very interesting race. I'm going to let them argue it out while I sit on deafen. The championship, not as spicy as we thought, since Hyper couldn't end up winning that race.